Welcome back to the channel, guys. Loads more of you have been tuning in over the last few weeks to follow the relatively rapid progress that we've been making on the little green Fiat. And this weekend we've got a few more jobs just to get it ready to go out for a test drive. So I'm going to flip the camera around and we're going to have a little look at what's in the box and what's going to go on this weekend. To excuse the out of breathness, I have a stinking cold right now. So this box here has got in it all sorts of goodies that those of you that follow me on the other social channels will have already seen, and we're going to aim to fit them all this weekend so it's all ready to go for when I get the fuel tank in. So we've got here a more modern variant of the intake hose that goes at the back to draw cold air in. When you've been watching the previous videos of first start and whatnot, you probably noticed that was missing because the other one was absolutely ruined. Likewise, get hot air into the car. Now I know Ben's not planning on using this in the rain and probably not planning on using it when it's cold either, but if he ever wants to demist the screen, this is going to come in handy for getting a bit of warm air in, as are these four hoses here, which for those of you who are not massively familiar with these cars, two of these connect the centre spine of the car, which is where the heater tunnel runs, to some valves that sit under the dash, and then the other two connect the valves that sit under the dash to some demister vents that sort of sit roughly there. So those are good to go in as well. Again, this here is the oil seal that goes on the oil filter. It was crusted up and had gone really solid, so was blowing oil out. So I'm going to change that. You'll notice this is from Toto. There you go, check him out. All of this gear is from Mark at Motor Bambino. So I'm going to be fitting this weekend. Also from Mark, I have some top mounts for the front shock absorbers. I had to dismantle this side completely when I was welding up the car because there was a little bit of damage to that shock tower. In order to weld a plate over the damage, or cut out the damage and plate it over, I had to remove the shock, and when I went to put it back, well, the top mount was crap. Now I've got a pair of them. Don't really need one because that side's never come apart, but I may as well replace it whilst I'm there. So those are going to go on as well. And then finally, to actually make it drivable, again, you see these have been kicking around the workshop for a little while. These are the bolts that connect the hubs to the axles, and they're pretty vital if you actually want to be able to drive. Otherwise, all you're going to do is stick it in gear, spin the axles round, and you're not going to have any drive. So I'm hoping that by the end of this weekend, and it's now Friday night when I'm filming this bit, probably won't get to start work until Saturday, that we'll get all of these parts on, and I'll take you through some of the fittings of some of the more awkward parts, and then we'll be almost ready to go. I do still need to do some of the brake lines, so I've done the brake flexies at the front here on both sides. Oops, it's parked a little bit close there. But what I do need to do is the brake flexies on the back. Don't really know why I'm pointing the camera at that because you can't see them because they're under the car. But I'm going to do that anyway. The flexies on the back don't actually go to the hubs, as I'll sort of show you. The flexies on there are where the trailing arm, swing arm axle kind of sits. So that is the strategy for the weekend, to get it all ready to go. I did last night fix the lights, so I've now got two new bulbs in there. For some reason dip beam's still not working. The bulbs are fine. Got to work out if it's dirty contact in the switch or if there's a crack in a cable somewhere and if there is, it's probably going to be bloody awkward to get to, because that's just the way things go down, isn't it? So yeah, I will hang up the camera for a moment, and then just like that, it will be the next day, and we'll be back cracking on with a little bit of work. So fingers clicked, it's now the next day, so let's get cracking on fitting some of these bits. We'll just take the engine cover off, and we'll look at getting on the main air intake hose that runs down here, and the smaller hose that sits between the thermostat housing and the body of the car. So I might well speed this up a little bit later, but for now we'll just start getting these bits on. Just pop this off over here. Now it's a little different from the one I have in the other car, because it's a slightly more modern looking flexible hose, so it doesn't form quite such a neat curve, because it looks a little bit long, but it concertinas up nicely down here, and we've got it fixed at the top, and we've also got it fitting into the fan housing at the bottom, so it will draw cold air in. Once I'm certain it's in exactly the right place, I'll stick some cable ties around the top and around the bottom. Just get under there, and you can see we have got it connected to the back there, and it's sitting quite nicely. So that has gone okay. So let's now try and get the second one in, which I feel is going to be slightly more awkward, because it's got to go in a teeny little gap there, and there's a very sort of offset bend on that one. So I might not force you to watch my backside moving up and down, and just check in when that's done. So that's now in place, joining the body of the car where the heater channel goes to the thermostat housing here. So again, hot air will blow across here and it will come down here. Again, this is a nice flexible hose. I didn't do it earlier on, not only because I didn't have one, but also because it makes getting to the starter motor and getting the starter motor in and out a bit of a pain. So we've now got cool air coming in, and then we've got hot air coming out over there, so that's a good start. So next in line is to pull the car out and get right down under here and start connecting the axle bolts. So the way the wheels are driven on this, you can see you've got a splined axle. What you've got there is the cup that actually has, again, splines in it on there. These will all line up and we'll bolt that into position against there, and the same on the other side. They're held together with, or held in place by these M8 bolts with shake-proof washers on. Now obviously, as you can see, it's a little awkward to film under here whilst doing it, and it takes forever to do because you have to roll the car backwards and forwards in order to actually gain access to the different bolts. And as this is not quite lined up either, I need to just jimmy the thing up and down, jiggle it up and down a little bit just to get it all lined up. But we'll come back when that is done and complete. So normally what I do is just get these all squared up by getting a couple started on each side, and then as I say, you can roll the car forwards and backwards till you've got them all in, and then torque them down. And that's usually a lot easier if you actually have your gear shift adjusted properly so that it is in neutral, because mine looked like it was in neutral but it was actually, I don't know, probably in second because it's not adjusted yet. And so as soon as I bolted this to the hub, of course the whole car locked up because it wouldn't roll forwards because it was in gear. So these are now basically lined up, so I'll drop in the remaining ones and we'll tighten them down, and then we will actually have drive. And we are now complete. So that car will have drive to the wheels when it's all ready to go. And that, other than finishing the brakes and bleeding them, is the last of the mechanical parts of the car done. The other bits are fitting the fuel tank. I suppose that's sort of mechanical, isn't it? And then the rest of it's really all cosmetic. So we are getting there now. Now that the axles are done, before we move inside to start fitting the rest of the heater hose, which you can see looks like this original stuff on these, I'm going to give these a little bit of a blow over. But this is how this works. These bolt up underneath the dashboard. You've got the heater hose coming in there, and you've got a little vent on here which at the moment is closed, which means all of the air will blow to the demister, and if you rotate that round you get to warm your legs up. So I'll give these a little bit of a tidy up because they've just got a little bit of surface rust on them. We'll get rid of the old bits here, and then we'll work out actually how I'm going to get them up underneath the dash, because I haven't yet quite worked out whether it's going to be better to affix the hoses to these, slide them up because it's quite awkward to get up underneath the scuttle panel, or whether it's better to fit these and then fit the hoses. I'm going to go with probably fit the hoses to these at both ends and then kind of slide it into place, but we'll have a little look at that once I've cleaned these up. Okay, so we have now got hoses running up inside here where they're supposed to be. I've left this one a little disconnected down there because I've still got a few things to do with the wiring in there, which I will be needing to have access. But that's oh, just knocked the number plate off. But that's basically that. And likewise from up inside, we've now got all of the centre tunnel in place. We've got all of the heater vents. Oh, literally covered that up with my hand. The little adjustable heater vents there. We've got the heater hoses running, and just rested in place currently is the glove box. Obviously, you still need to put in place the kick panels, knee guards, whatever you want to call them. But that there is pretty much done for the pipe work. So cool air at one end, hot air in the middle, hot air here to your knees, and hot air up to demist your dash. That's where the demister vents come up from there. In reality, opening these quarter lights does just as much of a good job. Just as an aside, I mentioned earlier on that I was struggling to get it into gear. That's because these bolts down here The second one is not in there at the moment, of what you use to loosen off and then to adjust it to get it into gear. We now have second, third, and do we have fourth? Not quite. Okay, so needs a little bit of a jaff. Actually, it's possibly not even going to get into second at the moment, but we'll have a little play around and adjust these. The important thing is it now will sit in neutral, sort of where neutral is actually supposed to be, and I just confirm that by taking it off the chocks and giving it a roll. So we've got neutral, we've got first, we've got third. Haven't got second and fourth yet, but as I say, if you need to make any adjustments to the shifting mechanism on yours, you've got these two M10 bolts in here. Okay, that's where I didn't have that second one in, it slipped down and sort of rotated the housing slightly like that, which means it's clocked slightly wrong now, which is why it's not going into second and fourth. For the moment, doesn't matter, because I'll get another bolt to go in there and then I'll just readjust it. But that is again one of the last mechanical bits. Okay, so thanks for watching that episode. That was just a little run through some of the finishing touches that we're trying to do to the car. As I mentioned, I have not yet finished the brake flexies at the back, so I need to do those and tick those off my list. I need to finish adjusting that gear shift mechanism, which means I need to find somewhere in the garage a bolt of the correct size to do that. Once I've done that, I will then bleed the brakes, because obviously there's no fluid in them, so I'll top them up, bleed the brakes, and I'll replace those shock tower mounts at the front so that the shock absorbers are fully mounted. And then, well, then it's kind of ready to take for a little drive. Yeah, there's a few things cosmetic, quite a few cosmetic things that need to be doing, but fundamentally we have a running engine, we have electrics, so we've got a spark, we've got lights, we've now got cooling and heating. What else have we got? Got drive to the axles. Drive to the axles is useful because to get that whole 17 horsepower right down to the road. So yeah, it's coming along quite nicely now. It's possibly going to be the last you'll see on the channel of this for a short while, because my plan is next weekend to go and spend a bit of time on the blue car, and to bring it back from where it currently is, which is actually at my dad's house, and bring it back here before the winter, because they're having a bit of work done on their drive and the car's kind of sat there for quite a while, and I feel really I owe it to him to move my old Tut off his driveway and instead park it on my own. Once that's back over here, I think what I'm going to do is pinch the fuel tank out of that car and stick the fuel tank from there into here, because I know it's good, I know it works, and that will just be another thing that will get this one back on the road a little quicker. So hopefully by the next time we pick this green one up in a few weeks time, it's going to have most of the little mechanical bits will have been done. Like, I'll have finished the brakes, I'll have done the shock mounts, I'll have put the fuel tank in, and then we can take it for a little drive up and down the driveway, because I'm quite lucky this house has got quite a big driveway, so therefore it's going to be a reasonably good test for hill starts as well as anything else. So thanks for watching, thanks for catching up. If you're a new subscriber to the channel, then thanks for joining in. You've joined at quite an exciting moment for the channel. The growth is quite exponential at the moment. Well, maybe not exponential, but quite quick. And if you're an old subscriber, thanks for sticking around. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please click that subscribe button. Please give us a like, please leave us a comment. Take care, guys.